Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com, as well as the YouTube channel and NoDQ&A videos affiliate, RingsideNews.com. Brocktober is upon us. We have the WWE Madison Square Garden special this Saturday on the WWE Network. NoDQ.com will have you covered for that event, as well as Bound for Glory. I know some of you out there weren't even aware that Bound for Glory is this Sunday, but it is. TNA's WrestleMania is this coming Sunday. NoDQ.com will have both events covered. Stay tuned to NoDQ for the latest. Got your questions here regarding the MSG special and other topics. So let's get started today with the first one from Beast Slayer. Wouldn't it be something if Paul Heyman turns on Brock Lesnar at Madison Square Garden? I've gotten various questions from people asking about that match, and because it looks so predictable, because it looks like Brock Lesnar is just going to make quick work of the Big Show and move on to Hell in a Cell, people are asking me, is there any chance of a swerve or some kind of heel turn by Paul Heyman? And my answer is highly unlikely in all likelihood. I would go as far to say that there is a 99.9% chance Paul Heyman will not turn on Brock Lesnar at Madison Square Garden. The fact is, if WWE was going to have Paul Heyman turn on Brock Lesnar, they would have done it before. They would have done it with somebody else, not the Big Show. They would have had Paul Heyman join up with a new up-and-coming superstar. They already did that. It's a been-there, done-that storyline where Paul Heyman turned on Lesnar and joined with the Big Show. Now, I felt that WWE could have played up on Survivor Series 2002 and made that part of the storyline and teased the idea that Paul Heyman could turn on Brock Lesnar a second time. But WWE did not even bother with that. And to me, it just goes to show that the match on Saturday is nothing more than a showcase for Brock Lesnar, for him to look really strong heading into the Hell in a Cell match with Undertaker. That's the money match, Lesnar and Undertaker. The MSG show is just for Brock Lesnar to beat the crap out of somebody, and, you know, doing the F5 to a 500-pound man makes Brock Lesnar look like a monster. That is the goal, and to me, anything else would be a huge shock. I am not expecting any kind of swerve or anything other than Brock Lesnar just annihilating the Big Show. That's what I see happening. 99% sure of that. Moving on here from Yankees425 on Twitter. Do you think Reigns and Wyatt will have a Hell in a Cell match, and do you think it will be good? Well, this is a SmackDown spoiler, although not really much of one, but it is official. Bray Wyatt versus Roman Reigns at Hell in a Cell in a Hell in a Cell match, so there will be 2 cell matches. I think that this is a better idea than doing yet another 6-person match. You know, there was talk about the Wyatt family facing Reigns, Ambrose, and Randy Orton. To me, that would have been overkill because we already saw a 6-man match at the last pay-per-view. I think that this is a stronger match to have at Hell in a Cell, and hopefully this is the end of the feud. I'm really hoping this will be the blow-off and WWE will move on and give these guys other opponents. My fear is that they're going to have this Hell in a Cell match and then they'll face each other again on Raw, or they'll have a match at Survivor Series, and the feud will just keep going on and on and on, as Cesaro would put it. I really hope that this is the final match, and I mean, it should be good. The two of them had a good match at the July pay-per-view, and I feel that with the Hell in a Cell match, that it should be good. My issue, my fear is that since they're doing 2 cell matches, how will they be able to make the cell matches different from each other and make both of them really good? That remains to be seen. I'm sure one or both of the matches will have all the weapons, you know, the usual stuff that they do with the steel steps and all that. And maybe one of the matches they'll break out of the cell and brawl on top of the cell or do some kind of spot. So yeah, that is my fear, that it's a mistake to do 2 cell matches, and it'll make the other match seem not as important because both matches are going to have similar spots and in the similar scenarios. So that's my take on it. But I mean, it should be a good match, and hopefully each match will be different enough to where they'll both be able to stand out. All right, this one comes from JJ. In your opinion, what was Ric Flair's greatest match in both WCW and WWE? Well, WWE is easy. The 1992 Royal Rumble, no doubt about it. To me, that was Ric Flairs' shining moment in WWE. Coming out at number 3 and lasting the entire match and winning the WWE title. That is easy. As for WCW, you could really split it into two different parts. First part was the NWA era. And I would have to go with Flair versus Steamboat, the Chi-Town Rumble when Steamboat won the title. That was my favorite of the 3 matches. All 3 of them were classics. You know, that 3-part series that they had. The first one being the Chi-Town Rumble, and then the rematch in New Orleans, and then the 3rd one in Nashville. And then the WCW era, you know, when he came back to WCW, he was past his peak at that point, but he still had some classic matches. You know, I think the match with Vader at Starrcade '93 was an all-time classic, and also the Hogan match and the Cage match, rematch they had at Halloween Havoc in '94. And Flair also had a couple really good matches with Randy Savage in '95. So those would be my top picks for his best matches in WCW the second time around after leaving WWE. This one comes from Mikey. Maybe a bit too early, but what surprise entrance do you see coming back for the Royal Rumble in 2016? I do feel it's a bit early to speculate, but one would think that at least a couple of legends and a couple of NXT talents will appear in the 2016 Rumble. From NXT, maybe Samoa Joe, maybe Sami Zayn returning from injury. As far as legends go, I'd love to see DDP come out and have one more match at the Royal Rumble, and Jake Roberts for that matter as well. You know, Jake Roberts had talked about coming back for the Royal Rumble, and if he was in the proper shape for it, he could just come out, hit a few DDTs, and get eliminated, and I think the fans would be happy with that. So, you know, that would be really cool. But yeah, it is a bit too early to speculate on it, but those are some of the names that I would at least like to see personally in the Royal Rumble. Alright, this one comes from Wango Bango Jimmy, and the rest of his name cut off. WWE has signed ZZ from Tough Enough. Where do you see him going, apart from catering? I do not see ZZ going very far in WWE, and I really don't see any of the Tough Enough competitors from this year going far. To me, Tough Enough was a dud. None of the characters or wrestlers really stood out, and maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe with years of training, one of them or several of them will be able to make it in WWE, but I really got nothing out of watching Tough Enough. I really felt that none of them showed any kind of significant potential. And to me, ZZ was a comic relief figure on that show. He was what Sanjaya was to American Idol. That's what he was to Tough Enough. He was comic relief, and he was amusing because he was so painfully not good at what he was trying to do. And that was from the athletics to the promos. You know, it was just bad. Alright, this one comes from Tony Lucas. What was the worst cage match? The Chamber of Horrors, or the Tower of Doom, or the 3-tier cage match? I actually did not mind the 3-tier cage match from Slamboree 2000. You know, it was the ridiculous Vince Russo booking with the swerve that nobody saw coming with David Arquette turning on DDP, but the match itself was actually pretty good, and you know, Canyon took that big bump. It's just a shame that nobody cared about WCW at that point and it meant nothing, but the match itself was actually pretty good, I thought. The Chamber of Horrors match, what a disaster that was, with Cactus Jack you know, trying to pull the lever, and the lever fell and he had to put it back up, and then the whole thing with Abdullah the Butcher being electrocuted, that was just awful. But I would have to go with the match from Uncensored 1996, the cage match with Hogan and Savage against the Dungeon of Doom and the Horsemen. That was just ridiculous, so absurd. That match, all time on the list of worst matches in wrestling history. So I would go with that one. Alright, this one comes from YRBY Tuba. Hey Aaron, what do you think about EC3? I think that he's an awesome heel. Do you think that he could return to WWE with a similar gimmick? Clearly you do not go on NoDQForums.com, because if you did, you would know that we started the whole Ethan revolution. When he first came into TNA, we had the Ethan banners, and we were trolling people with Ethan Carter III. So we were on his bandwagon from the beginning. But in all seriousness, I think that he showed a lot of potential right from the beginning in TNA, and he's been one of the few shining moments of the TNA product as of late, and he's really stood out. And maybe he'll have an opportunity in WWE one day. Maybe he was a guy that WWE should have kept around, and I think he's proven that he is an asset and that he is capable of putting on memorable performances and that he is a solid character. So yeah, I think he's doing a great job in TNA, and you know, he is a big fish in a small pond, but I could certainly see WWE one day perhaps giving him another opportunity, and I feel he deserves it. Alright, one more question here from Beast Slayer. How do you feel about the news that New York City will host SummerSlam for the next 2 years? Makes sense to me. The fact that they had 3 consecutive sellouts at the Brooklyn Arena, the Barclays Center. I mean, it makes logical sense, perfect logical sense from a business standpoint to do it back-to-back years. You know, WWE had a great run in Los Angeles, 6 years at the Staples Center, and you know, they made a ton of money this year with SummerSlam in New York. So why not do it back-to-back years? It worked in LA. It'll certainly work in New York now, and you know, WWE will no doubt sell those shows out as well. I mean, no question about it. I mean, that's their prime market, and I'm not surprised at all that they're doing that. Alright, that'll wrap it up for this edition of NoDQ&A video. Thanks as always for watching. Send your questions at twitter.com/AaronRiff. Now, if you guys could, if you're going to submit questions, please do not send me like 10 questions in a row. You know, I like to try to answer questions from various people and not answer all the questions from the same person. So if you want to send in a question, try to come up with a unique question, 1 or 2 really unique questions that I haven't answered before, and you know, that'll increase your chances of me answering it on video. So keep the questions coming in, and on that note, I will see you guys next time for another edition of NoDQ&A video. Thanks for watching.